Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
How is everyone doing today? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's begin with the attendance first. Just a moment, please. Okay. So Akila Hirema, there are not many people in the chat today. So can you please let me know who is present?
Sir, 03 Akshata Chiraldini.
Akshata, okay. Akshata Kamble is here. Okay. Ashwini Jirli. Dhanashri Bide. Dhanashri Nevrikar. D'Souza Jasmina. Swapnil Ekwade. Rohit Patarpekar. University seat number 12, Ferreira, Vienna.
Present.
Okay. Gautami Tapale,
Present, sir.
were you there yesterday? Okay. Jyotiba Pooja Kamath. Mayur Sinari. Meghna Jakati. Vila.
Present, sir.
Okay. Murunali. Mulla Aymana.
Present, sir.
What's your name? Sorry.
Ayman.
Okay, thank you. Omkar. Shrutika Pednekar. Pradnya Patil. Pragati. Preeti. Priyanka. Rayani Zohras. Rangoli. Rashmi Magdum.
Present, sir.
Renuka.
Present, sir.
Rohan Patil. Rohin Nadar. Sanket. Shaila. Sushmita Bargadi. Sushmita Manu.
Present, sir.
Tejaswini.
Present, sir.
And the last is Saraswati.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So,
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
Sorry, I missed.
Some Runali.
Okay. So whom did I miss?
Some Runali.
Runali. Okay. Anyone else?
Sir, USN 10.
06.
Dhanashri Bide.
Ashwini Jirli.
Ashwini is here. Dhanashri Bide is here. Anyone else?
06.
Sir, Roll 10. Swapnil.
Just a minute, there is a train passing by.
USN 10.
Sorry. Okay. I see seat, university seat number 10, Swapnil.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sir, Rohit.
Anyone else did I miss?
Sir, USN
Rohit,
03.
sir.
Sir, USM 41, Rohin.
Excuse me, sir.
Akshata.
Hello, sir, USM number 41.
41.
Yes, sir.
Rohin Nadav.
Excuse me, sir. USN number 36, Zohra Rayani.
Okay. So
Sir, USN number 32, Pradnya Patil, sir.
Pradnya Patil. Okay. So just for the names.
55, sir.
Sir, USN 02.
02 Akira.
Yes, sir. Akila Hiramati.
And
Jasvina is here, sir. Hello.
yes.
So 09 is here. I was waiting for it to join.
Okay, Jasmina.
Present, sir.
Okay, so I'm just calling out the numbers who are or the names who are present. Akila, Akshata, Ashwini Jirli, Dhanashri Bide, Jasmina, Swapnil,
Present, sir.
Vienna,
Rohit.
Sir, Rohit is present.
Rohit is here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Vienna, Gautami, Meghna Jakati, Mrunali Misal,
Yes, sir.
Aiman,
Yes, sir.
Pradnya Patil,
Yes, sir.
Zora Srayani, Rashmi Magdu,
Present, sir.
Excuse me, sir. It is Zohra Rayani. That S is by mistake over there.
sorry, Zohra Rayani,
Yes, sir.
Rashmi Magdu,
Present, sir.
Renuka Basni, Rohin Nada,
Present, sir.
Sushmita, Tejaswini and Saraswati.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Present, sir.
Hello,
Have
sir.
understanding?
Sir, USN 47.
47 is Sushmita.
Yes, sir.
Sir, USN number 35.
Priyanka.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Sir, USN number 44.
Shaila.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? So, any queries on what we discussed yesterday? Does anyone remember what were the 3 dimensions that we were or that we discussed yesterday? Okay, can everyone see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we were on the drivers of internationalization of business. So basically we were discussing why does a business they want to go on an international level. So people who have missed yesterday's lecture, we did only. And how do you guys study for the exam? What are you guys referring to?
Sir, to a textbook.
Okay, do you know which textbook do you guys need to refer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And also I have found, is everyone located in Belgaum?
No, sir.
So,
Okay, so I have found this book. I'm just gonna hold it. I don't know if the image is gonna come correctly. This is by Saroj Kumar and Sanjay Deshpande. It is as per the syllabus. I found it, people who are in Belgaum, I found this book in the Gaurav bookstore opposite to GSS College. So this has all the topics covered as per the syllabus. I'm just going to show it again. I don't know if the image is going to come correctly or not.
Can you repeat the author's name?
Yeah, it is Dr. Saroj Kumar and Sanjay Deshpande.
so it's a Thakur publication.
It is Thakur publication from Bangalore. Because your textbook that is given by Vicky Udo, I have the first book which is by Dowling. It does not have all the topics. Say for example, the topic that we're discussing right now, that is drivers of internationalization, that's not there in the Dowling book. So I was searching for some books and luckily I was able to find this one. So one of you, it's up to you how you want to share the contents of the textbook. That is this one, the Saroj Kumar and by Sanjay Deshpande. If you need anything, this is my email address. I'm going to share it once again. This is my email address. Send me an email if you want anything, and then we will see how we can go about it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So people who missed yesterday's lecture, we just went through the definition of international HR. So there is a person who, by the name of Morgan, he basically says that international HR is an interplay, or I would say a coordination of all the activities that is there in this model. That is the human resource activities, the countries, and the type of employees. So in a nutshell, international HR is whatever human resources you have studied, but on a global level. So coming back to the topics that we were discussing yesterday. So we were going through this drivers. So it basically means that what prompts a business, or what is the reason for any business to go on an international level. So I'll just quickly go through it again. First is growth. Now say for example, that I have an organization or I have my own business. I see that my product in, say for example, India, there is no potential, or it has reached. Have you all studied a product life cycle?
Yes, sir.
What
Yes,
is
sir.
the life cycle of a product? Anyone can tell me, please? Yeah, so in the product life cycle, it starts with introduction. The first is introduction. The second is growth, maturity, and decline.
Maturity and decline.
Yeah. So say for example, I have a product. It is at a maturity level. Now what do I do after that? There is nothing that I can do in a domestic market. So then I will go on an international level. The second factor is profitability, which means that, say for example, I have a product. If I sell it on an international market, I can get a much more profit on that. If, say for example, I'm selling it here for 100 rupees, I can sell it for say $10 in a US market. So that's where the profit margin comes into picture. And that is one of the reasons that if you, I don't know how many of you have been to countries outside India, you will always see that there are many Indian products that are available in the international markets, like various food products and everything. So this is one of the reasons that it is the profit margin. The third is achieving economies of scale, which means that, as I said yesterday, countries like China, they produce everything on a very large scale. Now, what do they do with it? Not everyone in China is going to use whatever they have produced. So that's when they try to sell the products in an international market. The fourth factor is risk spread. So I was on this 4 point yesterday. I'm sorry about that I got the session ended. So it basically means that if I have a company in only say one market, say in India. Now there is a recession in India. What happens to my business? My business goes down. So that is the reason many businesses, when they go on an international level, they open subsidiaries or they open units in various countries. So there is something in Asia Pacific towards Southeast Asia that is so near Korea or somewhere like that. Then they go in Europe, somewhere in Germany. Then they go to North America, in US or somewhere, and then in Latin America. That is towards Brazil, Argentina, and all those countries. And what is the reason for that? Say, for example, US goes into recession. At least my business can get some revenue from the other countries, say from Latin America or from Europe or from Asia Pacific. And this is the reason, or this is one of the reasons why the business, they go on international level. Access to imported inputs. It basically means that if I open up my business in another country, say US, I can get access to various technical know-how or various knowledge from the US market, which I can bring it to India and then produce my product as per those technical knowledge. So this is the reason when they say make in India or something like that, what it means is the product is made in India, but whatever technical specifications or whichever knowledge specification needs to be imported, it comes from an outside country. The sixth point is economic integration and free markets. This basically is towards the point of liberalization, what happened in India in the 90s. So when liberalization happened, the markets opened up, because initially in India, you could only sell the products that were made in India only. Say, for example, the Premier Padmini car, that was made in India only. When liberalization happened, there were many organizations that came into India, say like Maruti Suzuki, or like now there is the latest automobile is Kia, which is from South Korea. So all these things happen when the markets open up and the businesses, then they try to go on an international level. The seventh point is the emergence of WTO. Do you know what is a WTO? Does anyone
World
know?
Trade Organization.
So what do they do basically?
So the World Trade Organization will also look into the stocks and all.
Mhm.
Hello.
Yes.
So depending upon that, the price indicators will be seen in the market.
Yeah.
Like as per the GDP and all, the stocks will be decided by the stock exchange market.
Mhm.
And then the world trading, there's a in Bangalore, there's a world trading, there's a center
Okay.
known as the World Trade Center, which hires everyone in India to go into that particular center. There, the bidding of the stocks, the buying of the stocks, the selling of the stocks will take place, and depending upon then the World Trade Center from India, like that. Likewise, there are several countries all around the globe.
True.
So, in the same way, the stocks and stock market exchange will take place.
Yes. So World Trade Organization, as the name suggests, whatever you said is correct. It's not only stocks; it is also trade agreements happen with various countries. That is the reason they say it as World Trade Organization. It basically establishes trades between different countries. Now, India, say for example, they have trade agreements with so many countries. And that is the reason, say for example, I open up a business. Now I can use this trade agreement that has been established by the WTO, and then I can start my business in that particular country. So when this WTO started, that's when all these businesses, they went on an international level. And the last factor is unifying effect and peace. Now, when two countries have trade agreements between each other, it is very important to have a peace agreement between these two countries. Now, say for example, there was those conflict between India and China. India and China have a lot of trade agreement. There are a lot of raw products that come from India into China. So that is the reason that whenever there is a trade agreement or whenever we have a business that is present in another country, we cannot go to war or something like that. So that is one of the factors for when a business it goes on an international level. Any queries or any doubts on this talk or on this slide? If you have any doubt, please ask me before we go ahead.
So for the exams, you will be asking the questions from the textbook or from the slides?
Yeah, so whatever slides I'm preparing, it is as per the syllabus copy that has been given to me. So if you have the syllabus copy, this topic, that is drivers of internationalization of business, it is the second topic in the first unit. So whatever presentations I'm doing, I'm just strictly following the university syllabus. I cannot go. I wish I could go out of the syllabus, but then it's time restricting, and with this COVID, we have to be on time. So does everyone has the syllabus copy with them?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you open up the syllabus copy, this is the second topic in your syllabus in unit 1, that is drivers of internationalization of business. I am not doing anything. I wish I could teach you more, but I have to go by what VTU has prescribed for the syllabus.
Yes, sir. I saw.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, so just continuing with this, the topic of internationalization of business. So these are some of the factors. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, will you share the slides with us?
Oh yeah, send me and one person can send me an email and then I can send
Okay,
back.
sir. I will send you an email, and then you can just, send me this, and I will share it to my classmates.
Yeah, sure. I will send you an email and then you can share it with the others.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Because whatever I'm describing in the presentation, it is as per this textbook that I just mentioned to you. I'll just bring it over again. So I only included the points whenever you answer the examination for your university or for the internal assessment, you will have to describe the points. Okay, just don't write the uniqueness of product or service. That's you will have to describe what is the, or you will have to describe in detail what does that mean.
So I can give you an easy way. Instead of sending an email, so we have KLE official group. On that only the teachers and the sirs, they share everything with us. There's a KLE official group. So whatever slides, whatever questions, everything gets shared in the official group so that it reaches everyone.
Okay, so do you want me to share it, or how is it on a WhatsApp?
Yes, sir, it's on WhatsApp only. So the teachers will have to add you in the group and then you can share everything very easily.
Okay, I will talk with somebody over here, and in the meanwhile, one person can send me an email, and then I will also share this presentation over the email.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions or queries? Okay, so just to continue with this topic, now whatever factors we are discussing right now, it is the push factors. That is, it is reactive in nature. The factors that we discussed before, they were proactive. And these factors are reactive. So this means reactive means that I will go on an international level only when something happens. The previous, all the factors were proactive in nature. I won't wait for something to happen. I will take a proactive approach and try to start my business on an international level. All these factors are push factors. So the first one is uniqueness of product or service. Basically, it means that if I think my product is very unique, where nowhere in the world it is available, then I will try to sell that product on an international level. Now, say for example, if you go to a foreign country, you see many stores, they sell Indian handicrafts for, you won't believe what prices do they sell it for. They sell it for very, very high prices. Whatever prices you find it in rupees over here, like 2,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees, they sell it for $2,000 or $3,000 outside. So, because nobody else makes it, it's all these handicrafts, it's only the way in which it is made, the crafts and everything, nobody else in the world makes it. So that's when if I think my product is unique, that's when I will try to sell that product on an international level. The second is marketing opportunities due to life cycle. So as we discussed before, if my domestic market saturates, what do I do with it? No, I cannot do anything. That's when I try to go on an international level. Say for example, the company or any software company that was started in India, like Infosys, they did what they can, but then what do they do now? If they have found enough clients in India to provide software support, what do they do now? If they don't find any more clients, then they have to try to search for clients outside India to provide IT support. The third point is spread of R&D cost. Can you think of any example in the current scenario for this month of spreading R&D costs? So if you know that we have so many vaccines coming in, or there are so many vaccines that are sold by many countries on an international level, why do they do that? Just a moment, please let it read. Okay, so when say for example, I have to develop a vaccine, there is a huge cost involved in the research and development. You just cannot develop a vaccine in one single day. Now, how do I recover the money that is involved in the research and development? I just cannot sell the market, the product or the vaccines in just one single country. That's when we have to go, or the companies, they have to go on an international level to sell their product. The next is resource utilization. It basically means that I will open up my business. I have, say for example, I have a raw material that is not present in my own country. It is present somewhere else. Now I cannot import that raw material from that country and try to process it over here. It is not very feasible as it may sound. So in that case, companies will try to open up their business closer to the location where those raw materials are available. Say for example, there are coal mines that are present in the areas of Jharkhand and everywhere. Why they are located only in that particular area? Because the raw materials are present only in that specific region. The fifth is the competition and the cost. So this is again related to the liberalization. So when liberalization happened, competition increased, the costs came down, and that is when all these companies like Maruti Suzuki, Maruti is from India, but companies like Suzuki and many other companies, they tried to open up their business in India. So it is a reactive. Liberalization happened. It was a reactive process. And after liberalization happened, all these companies, they tried to open up their business in India. The second last point is the quality improvement. Now, what this point means is that whenever I have a large market or I am earning a lot by selling my business on an international level, I will have to, or my quality of my products, they will improve. Now, say for example, I'm selling, say a Parle-G biscuit in USA. I will have to improve, or the quality of my biscuits will improve, or will have to improve to sell it in the international market. I just cannot sell the product at a very low quality level. The seventh point is government policies and regulation. Now, there are many governments, say for example, now India, when there was this China thing happened, that is the conflict with China. When India offered incentive for many companies to come to India and open up their business, that's one of the scenario when somebody will try to open up their business on an international level. Now, there are many other countries in which the companies or the countries or the governments, they try to offer you incentive. Come to my country, they will offer you so and so incentive. So that's when an organization, they will go on an international level and open up their business over there. Any questions or any queries?
No, sir.
So I have one question.
Yes.
So you're talking about government policies and regulations, right?
Mhm.
So in some countries, like when they export drugs and import drugs
Mhm.
from Africa to India, how is that the government gives permission?
So that's when we have
Smuggling? Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
So continue, because I want to know how drugs come from there to here.
Yeah, so it is not the drug that comes, it is the raw material that is required to manufacture any product that is imported. We have, if, say for example, if your question is specific to drugs, we have something called as the drug control. I think it is the drug, some DCGI or something like that. So they will examine whether those raw materials is as per the standard that is required by the country. Now it is India, the drug control body will see whether those raw materials are as per the specifications that are required by the Indian country. And that raw material shouldn't be available in our country as well. Then if we have the raw material available, then there is no point in importing. So the first thing it has to meet the specification. The second thing is it shouldn't be readily available in our country.
Yes,
Does
sir.
that answer
So,
your
but now, but now if we want the drugs like morphine and all to
Mhm.
use it for medical purpose in a pharmaceutical setup.
Yes.
So when we bring the drug, it's known as smuggling into from one country into another country. How can we get that process legalized? Is it possible to start a pharmaceutical in Africa and then import the medication pharmaceuticals into India? Is it like that? So basically, we create all the vaccines over there or whatever drugs we create there and then make it in such a form that you're importing it into India. I know it's kind of a tricky question, but even I would like to know.
Yeah, so whenever an import of anything happens, as I said, it is not specific that it has to be only from Africa or somewhere like that. India can import anything from any country. Now, that particular drug, whatever you specified, say for example, if it is morphine, it shouldn't be available in any other country, anywhere else other than Africa, number one. And the second point is it shouldn't be available in India as well. So the business in Africa, that's when the internationalization happens for the business in Africa. That's when they will coordinate with the drug control authority in India. They will give the specification. They will say that, yes, whatever contents of my drug is, it will meet the specification that India requires, and it should also meet all the technical conditions as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we have less than a minute left. We will stop over here as of now. We have another class after this, and then we will start with the different settings of international human resources. So different settings means that in what environment, if for example you are appointed in international HR, in what environment you will operate. So that's the topic of discussion that we will discuss in the next topic, or in the next class.